Greetings, Matt comrades. It is your humble DM, Mike Gergoni, here to let you know that we here at Material Components are now part of the Punch Up Entertainment Network. Punch Up is proud to present such podcasts as Panel Up, The Action Shelf, and the very podcast you're listening to right now. And of course, the best way to support all of these shows is by going to patron.podbean.com/punchup and becoming a patron today. When you do, you'll get access to all sorts of bonus content, including a brand new one-shot from the folks here at Material Components, in which our heroes attempt to solve a murder in the urban fantasy streets beyond the Veil. If you ever wanted to hear Michael Listman playing as Detective Sasquatch, now's your chance. Once again, that's patron.podbean.com/punchup. Thanks for all the support, and now, let's get you into this week's episode. Material Components, Season 2, Episode 63, Deeply Disturbing. Greetings and welcome to Material Components, the actual play RPG show all about a galaxy of magic and the adventurers who live there. I am your humble dragon master, Mike Gergoni, and joining me, as always, are my stalwart adventurers. Hey adventurers, thanks for being here.
Heck
You're
yeah.
welcome.
Aloha.
Hey everybody, I am Olivia, and I will be playing Florian of Akalar.
I'm Elliot, and I am playing Shay.
I am Michael, and I'm playing Oswald, Octavian Theophilus, the rightful third.
And I'm Reed, and I'll be playing Amari.
Indeed. And of course, before we begin today's session, I have to ask the same question I ask every time, and that is, Michael Listman, do you remember what happened last time?
Yes, I do. So
I'm having a stroke.
I'm having a stroke. Yeah.
If you don't know what that's from, it's a Simpsons joke. Okay, moving on.
Moving on. Yeah, so we were mid-heist when we started our last session. And I had been caught in Declan Shattersword's room by apparently one of many Ragnas. We found out that Ragna has a couple of 4 changelings or 5 changelings. I can't remember.
There are 4 changelings and 5 Ragnas in total.
Well,
Gotcha.
A group of Ragnars are called a Ragnai, so really we should...
Actually, a group of Ragnas is called a Ragnarok.
That makes sense.
You have bested me, Mike.
Once again.
And this isn't the first time.
It
won't be the last.
Nope.
So I lied a bunch and avoided immediate danger. However, it did lead that Ragna to summon me to Ragna Prime. Meanwhile, downstairs, Florian was beating the pants off of Pants and Declan Shattersword at Queen's Court.
Shorts, not
beating the
Oh,
pants
God
off
damn
of
it.
shorts.
Well, that's less funny, but
Okay,
still
we got to
pretty
start over.
good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
take 2.
Take 2. Yeah. But yeah, ultimately ended up beating Declan Shattersword by going all in more ways than one. I had to make sure I put that in there because it was very good. Shay full on flirted with one of the Ragnas. Wasn't really sure where that was going to go. I think we were all very worried. But
So was I.
yeah,
Oh, no, Shay had that in the bag the entire time.
I think so. And then Amari was full on solid snaking in the security room and snapped 2 guys' necks.
Where does this neck snapping come from?
Fine, you ripped
you
their
here?
throats out.
Yeah, with my teeth. Yeah.
Spending XP to determine that you actually snapped their necks.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna spend XP to say that you did the I don't remember whose final it is, Scorpion, I think, where you take their spines and just yank them out of their bodies.
Pull them out.
You went
I was thinking
full
the-
MacGruber.
I was just about to say, you
Throat rip.
threw a bag of throat lozenges and said you're going to need the whole bag, and then ripped their throat out.
And then I left in a cardboard box. No one knew I was there.
Exactly. So anyways, as I was making my way down the hallway towards Ragna's office, all the way on the tippy top floor, I asked for a favor. I needed something big to get out of this meeting that I was dreading. And so Amari delivered and triggered a tsunami warning in the building, which, I mean, yeah, you can guess at that went. It was classic Oracle Zero.
Par for the
Pure
course.
chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
When in doubt, start a riot.
so in the chaos, I made my escape.
It works.
Yeah.
Shay stole the security fob from Declan, and Florian tried to cash in the chips that he won. Unfortunately, unsuccessfully. But what was successful is that we stole Declan's ship, which I believe we dubbed the Pussy Wagon, and made our escape.
What is this we?
I'm pretty sure it was all of us. Pretty sure it was a collective.
Yeah, consensus.
In
Yeah.
point of fact, in the theft of the vessel, you would learn that its name is, in fact, the Golden Comet. But
Not as
That
good.
it doesn't roll off the tongue the same way.
Yeah.
wow, that yeah.
And we've peaked as a podcast.
All right. Well, great episode, everybody. Well
Yeah.
done.
It's all downhill from here. But leastways, yes, you absconded with the Golden Comet, the sports spaceship owned by Declan Shattersword, in an attempt to steal the Formian Generator that was contained within, like some kind of delicious nougaty center to this golden-wrapped chocolate bar of a spaceship. But you managed to do so by causing the reaction to a disaster without the actual disaster. And
Which
by
it's good. That's a good for us. That's pretty good.
yeah,
And honestly, it's classic.
could've caused a
heist
tsunami.
behavior. Like, that's just par for the course. Heisting 101.
yeah.
Can wizards cause tsunamis? Is that something I didn't know about wizards?
If they try real hard, then
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good to
it depends on how much they want to blow up a moon.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, there are multiple ways to go about it, I guess. But leastways, now it's me just like extrapolating. Okay,
Yeah.
how could they cause a tsunami? There's a couple of ways, but
Actual conversation between Shay and Oswald.
I will have to discuss this with Cole at a later
probably.
date. As you find yourselves now back aboard your larger ship, the Tyresian, with the Golden Comet nestled snugly inside like some kind of spaceship Matryoshka doll. And that is where we find Oracle Zero. The mission is not over. Our danger gauge is still set at level 9, as last you saw, emergency vehicles sent by the freehold government that is technically in charge of this world was scouring the area for this emergency evacuation for an emergency that is not happening. So there may or may not be a few people that are, let's say, looking in to the fact that this was all triggered.
And they won't find a damn thing.
Well,
You, Amari.
to that point, speaking of Amari, it has been mentioned that Amari has been made, and people definitely know that he is here, and potentially that he is connected, because one part of Oswald's lie is that he was speaking on behalf of the hegemony.
Yeah.
So,
true. That is true.
it's not untraceable, is all I'm saying.
There,
It's circumstantial at best.
Substantial at that. Yeah, exactly.
It's not admissible in court at all.
a tangled web has been woven at the Five Flames Resort and Casino that may or may not implicate the involvement of several of your number, one of which at least by name.
Good and cool.
So what Oracle Zero's plan is at this point, boy, I would just love to know. Because right now you are in the cargo hold of the Tyresian, staring and disembarking at this really gaudy golden spaceship that you've absconded with. Your Cogrish ally, Vesnis, who is apparently still awake at this point, because it is like 2 a.m. at this point, is inspecting the vehicle. As I indicated last time, this vehicle is not only extremely fast, but also extremely dangerous to drive for those who are maybe a little less skilled with it because of its propulsion systems and their capability of destroying whatever is behind this particular craft. Meanwhile, your Taro hacker ally, Kala, who is also aboard the ship, is slowly regaining her consciousness, rubbing sleep from her eyes as you have come back with your stolen goods.
Quick question for Oswald.
Yes.
Has Oswald shared with the team all of the details about what was in the room?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe I said on comm.
Okay.
Yeah.
There
So
was,
you are aware.
at the very least, a very hurried text alert of the items which were located in Declan Shattersword's room, which included, but weren't limited to, a suit of ritualistic armor that is the effective equivalent of a nuclear weapon in the right hands.
Yes.
So, knowing that, Amari's primary goal is to get the fuck off this planet. We can do Formian Generator stuff elsewhere. This whole place is bad news.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, definitely.
I don't remember if I posited this in character or out of character, so I will just say Florian has this thought. I mean, we need to be untraceable, though. I'm sure someone like Declan has, some sort of space fantasy LoJack on his vehicle. I don't know why I said space fantasy. Obviously, we're in space, and it's not fantasy. It's true. It's real.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
guess just LoJack. But I mean, maybe we could get. Hey, Mira.
And as you say that out loud, there is a slight buzz in the air. You're not quite sure where it comes from, but then a voice that you can all hear will say, "Yes?"
Do you have a way to make anything inside of the ship, I don't know, invisible or untrackable?
If you're asking if I can disable any locating sub-algorithms in the ship systems, I believe I could.
What about in this ship systems? And I'll just kind of vague gesture to the Golden Comet.
Oh, I see. Fascinating. I would need to be directly linked with this ship's systems, allowed access into its subroutines. That would be quite fascinating.
Florian makes a quickly aborted movement to go do that, and then is like, I have no idea how I would do that. So I'll just look to Shay.
I mean, we'd mostly just have to,
So HDMI cord?
Oh, Florian.
I mean, weirdly enough,
think it
I'm
was
worried. Yeah, I'm worried for Mara. It's just what if there's a virus in there? I don't want her catching a cold or whatever, we don't know where this gross vehicle is.
Yeah, this
true.
What kind of data is stored on this guy's hard drive?
I don't want this vehicle near our space
my precious
child.
baby.
Yeah.
Let me. Kiddo. Guys, listen.
Yes.
Let me make sure that this is going to be safe for Mira. Let me fuck around with it a little bit. Because I need to break into this thing anyway, so let me look at the hard drives and all the data on here and make sure that nothing bad's gonna happen if she gets in there.
Sure.
Okay.
Quick question. Now, I believe I did communicate that there was a weapon within that facility, within that building, equivalent to, a very destructive force. What do we do with this information? Who do we tell? Shouldn't we tell somebody about this?
Everyone. Put it somewhere very public. Or put it on your archive or whatever. I'm sure it'll get to the right people. If people are doing illegal arms trade in something like this, folks need to know about it.
I agree, yes. Especially if it's something like that.
Yeah, like it's fucked up that anybody has those anymore.
I have posted sensitive material on the archive before, and the information has, disappeared. So, perhaps we could...
Just tweet it.
I could do it. Just tweet. Whatever the equivalent is.
Yeah.
It is a
Give it to your sibling.
MetaNet program called Sprite.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, we're not. I'm not giving any information to my sibling. We give them the opportunity to post anything.
A lot of followers, it would go viral really quickly. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
No, that's not.
Wait, are you talking about VidPop sensation Oswald Octavian Theophilus II?
I am. As has been established, I'm a big fan.
Out of the question.
We all are.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Three
I'm a fan
of
in
us
the
are.
sense.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm a fan in the sense that there are worse siblings, but it's not a high bar. But anyways, I suppose I could post it. I should make copies so that if anything disappears, then why don't I just go take care of that, and I'll find some good channels to post this on.
It would also probably cause enough chaos that, it would make them real mad, but it would also make it harder for them to immediately come after and murder all of us, because they'll probably be scrambling to attempt to avoid just all of the criminal charges.
That does bring to mind something I should probably mention. Now, when I was up in Declan Shattersword's room, boy, I don't know if this is the right time to mention it, but you said it now. You gotta say it. I did. I don't know what came over me. It was the first thing that popped in my head, and it seemed like a good idea at the time, but now, in retrospect, I'm wondering if there might be consequences to it. So let's just rip this Band-Aid off, and, I was caught by one of the Rogners. I think I mentioned that. And they asked me what I was doing in the room, and so there's a number of things I could have said. I could have said, no, I'm certainly, you're mistaken. I do work here, or something, to that effect. But of course, I may have mentioned offhand that I was an agent of the hegemony seeking to bring charges against Shattersword for smuggling weapons of mass destruction.
Shay is in the middle of climbing into the back into the cockpit, and it's just like, oh, woof. I'll let you all handle that one.
Which is why I am grateful that I didn't have to have the conversation with Ragnar Prime, because that was going to be the fact that it worked the first time was impressive. I used all of my Aether to get that one through. And boy, it squeaked by.
Wow, and so good it was.
So,
I mean, no, that is probably actually good, because they'll be looking for hegemony, allied folks, and when they don't find an Avia that fits your description amongst that band, it'll cause, it'll be confusing. We're not
hoping.
We're
I
not
just
known
figured
associates of anybody in the hegemony, bar one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not like with them anymore.
right.
It's circumstantial at best.
And Amari, you remember a notice that you received not too long ago about certain things happening back in the hegemony. Do you recall the details of that at all?
Yep.
For our listeners and maybe the crew, what exactly is briefly passing in front of Amari's mind right now in regards to that note?
So, Amari's wife sent him a communication stating that she is potentially lined up for a different mate on Vastplane, which would
additional.
I mean, that's normally how things go on Vastplane. However, non-traditionally, Amari and his wife Layla are in fact married.
Right.
So the fact that she is now looking for an additional mate is strange and weird, and is probably going to be putting some sort of her or someone else into a better position politically, and to distance themselves from Amari.
It definitely indicated that Amari's wife is looking to climb some political ladders in the hegemony.
Which is weird.
Well, good for her.
So when Oswald says, well, no one's directly connected to anything going on in the hegemony.
I'm married to the hegemony.
Quite
literally. Yes.
Well, do we know about? We don't actually know about that, though,
Not really,
correct?
no.
Yeah, Amari
No.
didn't really open up about that.
Not going to.
But I mean,
Using a little dramatic irony here.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just wanted to keep clear character knowledge versus player.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and even Amari, you haven't been. Well, I mean, I guess there was all that weird, super secret nonsense you were doing for them. I guess that was pretty recent, but we took down a terror cell, like on their asking.
Yeah.
You're remembering that? Okay.
Yeah.
Just
No,
wanted
and
to
I
make
told
sure.
I told y'all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, oh, you haven't been kind of involved in that whole political sphere for a while, but I guess that's not true.
Oh, gotcha. We're still on this. Sorry, I spaced out for a second there.
Oswald's eyes went cross-eyed. His mouth was open, and a fly flew in and out of his mouth.
I still don't think
archive.
it's necessarily a problem. I think really the more important problem is getting away without being directly tracked. And
From an upper catwalk,
Yeah.
Kala will say, on that subject, should we still even be here to have this discussion?
no, we shouldn't.
So,
And she will look over to you, Amari, as
Just
like
like,
one
you're
of the
the
only
pilot.
dudes who can fly the ship.
I was going to do this earlier, but then we got on the topic of like, oh, we might be being tracked. So, yeah. To the does it have a helm?
You
Or
have a
is there-
bridge.
Okay, a bridge. Okay, cool.
Yeah, the Tyresian has like a whole room that is where you operate the ship from. There is some of the more basic comms equipment there. There is the actual like helm where you steer the ship. And there is a bunch of other places that would be for a crew up there. You can all get up on the bridge if you wanted to. That is also the location of the isolation pod that Shay usually pops into whenever you all have to warp.
Gotcha.
All ahead full, 10 degrees down bubble. Let's go.
Okay, so, and just so I'm putting all the information on the table here, having stolen this ship, you are now proposing to leave suddenly in the middle of the night. Okay.
Seems like other people would probably want to do that, given that there was a tidal wave, a tsunami warning, you know.
I'm not saying you're
Hard
wrong
to
to
get
do
hit
so. I'm
by
just
a
merely
tsunami in
painting the
space.
picture of what's happening here.
Do we need to pay anything, or have we've already paid for our docking here? Is there any procedure for
And
that?
bribe the dockmaster.
Yeah.
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 Maybe we could double bribe the dockmaster.
But I feel like in that bribing of the dockmaster is probably the implication of like we might have to bounce pretty quickly. That seems fairly on the level for a
technically
bribery.
Technically, what the bribe was is we're not here. So
Exactly.
Okay, so as of right now, Shay is investigating the data logs and systems aboard the Golden Comet. Oswald is attempting to figure out the best way to alert the traditional power structures of a certain weapons dealer who is maybe dealing in some weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah. I am also going to try and post it on the archive. I want to see if I can get some
Okay.
cred there.
Amari is helming the Tyresian to GTFO. What is Florian doing during all of this?
Oh, I'm just chilling.
Florian is a vibe.
Hey, listen, I just won us a bunch of money and eventually we'll be able to go collect it.
Yeah, lest we forget, you handed over to a certain Brother Hune on the way out the door.
I've done my part for this
Right.
evening.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Was apparently there the whole time.
the whole
I
time.
love that dude.
He does pop up from time to time.
Mhm.
He's good at that.
Is there anything you want your NPC friends to be doing? Is there anything Kala or Vesnes can be doing to help? And is there anything you want Mara doing during all of this?
I think as soon as Shay finishes checking over this ship just to like make sure, I do think we should have Mara like potentially go in and just delete any trace of like any sort of tracking or LoJack or
Sure, but until
Yeah.
Shay is finished clearing the ship, nothing in particular you want her helping with?
Could Kala assist Shay for now?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say Kala should go back to bed. I mean, she's really tired.
She honestly
Well,
hasn't been up to much the last couple of days, so it's not as though she's been on these like long-winded hard days or anything. She's been just hanging out with the ship for the last couple of days while y'all have been here.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I know that she she had had a rough time recovering from having to constantly be covering our tracks while we were getting here. So, but if she can help, that would be lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vesnes, anything in particular?
Somebody should
Not blowing
probably
something
be
up.
somebody should probably be listening to see like what people are communicating about this event at this time. See if there's any like hold on people being able to leave the planet, or like if we're gonna run into any trouble
I can do
where
that.
that is concerned. Oh,
just
great.
like logging into the police scanners.
Which is absolutely something the Tyresian in specific can do because of your advanced scanning equipment.
Yeah, so just like any that Florian can
Criminals.
totally take care of that, is like looking for police scanners, but also just like kind of keeping an eye on
Okay.
just general
General chatter.
yeah.
It is so good that you did that, because as you are lifting off from the planet, and Florian, you find yourself coming into the kind of like side depot that would have been weapons batteries in a standard version of the ship and is now just a bank of consoles that let you access different kind of scanning equipment, both the long range and the deep probe scanners and all the stuff that the Tyresian seems especially suited to. And so as soon as you flick on to short bandwidth ranges of planetary communications, everything lights up because everybody's talking to everybody right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you slowly begin to narrow it down to emergency response and law enforcement channels, which is something the Tyresian is absolutely equipped to do, you quickly find out that there is going to be a military response to this because somebody triggered a tsunami warning on a Republic Coalition world on a heavily populated island. Because while the island you're on this planet, Seawell, Port Izel specifically is the name of this location, that is not the only populated part of this planet. This planet is a part of the Republic Coalition, a large galactic governmental body that is one of the major thorns in the side of the Canis Empire. And apparently they are not taking too kindly to somebody triggering some kind of warning. There is word flying back and forth about some kind of terrorist attack or some kind of espionage happening. People are worried that it's the Canis Empire. The first sign of planetary invasion is usually an override of planetary communication systems, which would be linked in with emergency broadcast systems.
Oh wow.
Does it sound like there's any sort of organized organized response happening, or is it still kind of chaos because they're trying to find, I'm assuming that they're if this was an invasion, it wouldn't just be that, right? It would be other things as well.
No, and you would know that the first thing that happens when the Canis Empire invades a world is they override the emergency broadcast systems of that planet and announce that they're invading in a hopes of just surrender now and nothing bad has to happen to any of you.
Right.
And that's not happening, so
that, yeah, it's not them.
But what you do hear is a familiar voice talking from a place of authority that seems to be beginning to coordinate the response to this problem. You recognize the voice as the military captain you encountered earlier in the evening.
Cool and good.
And they are... he is identified as Captain Hughes. You've heard his name a few times now. And he is coordinating some kind of lockdown of the port that you are just about to leave from.
Is there a timeline on that?
As soon as possible. It is in the process of happening right now.
I'm going to basically just transmit that to Amari and be okay, immediate departure is required. We need to get into warp space pretty much as soon as possible.
Okay, so Amari, having been given that alert as you're lifting up and out of the the berth that you find yourself in, which was basically just a floating platform that was slightly out to sea.
Mm-hmm.
From your position on the bridge, you can see emergency craft circling the island towards the resort end, but you can also see other, maybe more militaristic craft kind of moving towards your position with the sensors that the Tyresian has available to it. You don't actually have a visual on these ships just yet.
Okay.
Excellent.
We'll click into comms and be Amari, I believe in you. You can outrun all of these guys. I believe in you. Signing off.
Okay. Over and out. Crack my knuckles. Do a neck pop, and then
as you analyze the situation, the Tyresian is not a fast ship.
Dude.
It's not. That's why I said I believed in him.
Mm-hmm. Is it completely airtight?
It would have to be in space.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, can it be can it go underwater? Can it propel itself underwater?
It can. You don't know if the ship is rated for a water travel. Some spaceships are. In fact, it's much easier to construct a large spaceship in a body of water than it is on dry land most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Once you have the superstructure sealed up, doing the interior stuff is much easier if it has a big ocean to float in.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking, would their sensors be able to pick anything up if we were, say, underwater and just kind of scooted along for a while until we were like, I don't know, couple 100 miles, do whatever direction they're not. And then
I have an idea. I have a crazy idea.
Oswald has come onto the bridge now.
Oh, God, Jesus.
I'm assuming we're just all
Space
talking
Jesus,
in
sorry.
comms.
Oh, sorry. I should have announced that I was here. Amari, what if now? Go with me here, and I should try to hurry, but this is unfortunately the pace that I speak at. But we have a ship on our ship that is a super fast, super powered ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a bunch of very powerful engine crystals that could be used to power our ship to go really fast.
Uh-huh.
What if we did that to get out of Dodge real quick? I don't know what Dodge is, but that's just it's an old Avia saying.
So are you saying we take the crystals out and install them on our ship, or are we saying we take the ship, get out, and push with the other ship? Would attach it?
Some sort of
tape?
jumper cable, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, so just kind of like, a USB port, a lightning cable.
Right. Not really my area of expertise, but I'm just
Yeah.
no bad ideas. Just pitching. Just
So we use it like fucking NOS.
That's sort of what I'm suggesting. Yes.
What if we took the battery of a fighter jet and put it onto a fan boat, is what you're asking.
Yeah.
Kind of what I'm saying, just for a short burst.
And literally not like installing it, because that would take a long time. Just
Uh-huh.
kind of plunking it in there.
Yes. Just don't cross, the positive and the negative, Just make sure they're set.
There's no positive and negative. It's all just crystals.
Well, even better.
It's all crystals, man.
Another alternate metaphor would be just straight up pouring jet fuel into the engine of a fan boat.
Also a good metaphor.
Works.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to fuel my Prius with high octane Formula One.
Hey, I know that this thing makes car go fast. So if
Uh-huh,
I put
yeah.
it in car go fast.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just science.
Amari, as soon as Oswald says that, you are aware of the impracticality of that plan. It would take too long, and it might make your ship explode.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the idea, the engines might go super, super great, and then the engines just shoot through the entire hull. And then we just all right, we're dead.
Over comms. Yeah, no bad ideas except that one. That one was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I just thought I'd suggest. I don't
Just
really
for
know.
future reference.
Right.
But
Okay.
Amari, you have a limited amount of time before you know that the incoming military craft will be able to pick up the Tyresian on their sensors. Now, to your question about whether or not diving underwater would stop them from picking you up, it wouldn't hurt.
Okay. Cool.
Whether or not the Tyresian can do that, you don't know. In theory, yes.
Okay. Well, I stand by my 10 degrees down bubble statement earlier. Let's go full submarine.
Okay.
I guess we'll go with the boring option.
Yes.
As you plunge
I still think we should try to go to space, but that's
the Tyresian
I'm
downward towards the salty oceans of Seawell, you plunge into the water, and there is a weird shimmy that runs the length of the Tyresian as the water pressure which acts differently than the constant surrounding pressures of space. There's a drag coefficient that exists in water that isn't in space.
Mm-hmm.
Or air, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this odd quaking that is happening inside the Tyresian as you begin pushing underwater. How deep do you go?
I don't know enough about submarines. Maybe like 100 feet. I don't know.
You barely know that much more about spaceships, so I don't see how that's going to stop you.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like 100 feet. I don't know. A couple 100 feet if the sensors aren't going absolute ape shit.
No, if anything, your sensors go dead as you go underwater, and it's very disquieting. You are basically flying blind. You have a viewport that you can kind of see out of, but especially once you get a couple 100 feet down at night, it's real dark in the ocean, it turns out.
Mm-hmm.
There is no sonar on this ship. There is no radar per se. Everything you're doing is done with etheric sensors. So it's sensing the energy created by other etheric signatures. Any spaceship you would encounter in space would be powered by etherics, at least to an extent. So you'd be able to sense it in that way. Underwater, not so much. So you might hit the occasional fish, though they're mostly getting out of the way.
Cool.
Well, if our sensors aren't picking anything up, then their sensors probably aren't picking anything up. So let's use this opportunity to get that Formian Generator out and installed.
So what you know about etheric sensor capabilities, at this point they would basically have to be right above you to figure out where you are, because the water itself is dampening any sensitivity of the energy you're putting off. It's like trying to shoot lightning through water. It's conductive, but it's not necessarily going to be like a straight line straight down. It's kind of diffusing everything. What doesn't help is that you pretty quickly begin to sense that there are big etheric signatures down here. Ocean-going life.
Space whales.
Nope, regular ocean whales.
Yeah, like.
But we are in
ocean
space.
whales. Okay, well, so are we.
Oh, yeah, I know. They're not Earth whales. They're space
God.
whales.
Wait, were Earth whales the space? Wait, were the space whales the Earth whales we found along the way? Wait, what? Yeah, yes, that was what I was
What's happening?
Okay, yeah.
All whales are space whales.
Mm-hmm.
You, as you're moving and you reach a depth that you're comfortable with, the ship is still like shimmying weirdly, but it's not like shaking, and you're not hearing any ominous creaking sounds or anything.
Good.
But there is a blip on your sensors that you have to kind of cautiously read really quick, and it's like, oh wait, no, that's just some kind of enormous sea creature that has its own natural, like, creatures that have evolved in this galaxy use etherics. You do, any of your companions do, so it would stand to reason that natural animals that evolved in this environment would also use it to some extent. And so you have these animals that like can generate bioluminosity via etherics, or have certain pre-born capabilities of etherical nature. You have animals in nature that can produce spells, essentially. There are adorable little fuzzy monsters called owlbears that raid trash cans because they have a certain amount of X-ray vision, so they can see inside of things using etherics. You have animals that are capable of flight despite the fact of not having any wings. Nature in the Dragon's Wake galaxy is real weird. And so as you're like pinging these enormous creatures in the depths, you don't see them. You just know they're big little signals of etheric energy down here that are probably creatures based on how they're moving. And so you just sit 200 feet down in the ocean, or are you moving in any direction?
Moving.
Okay.
But like slowly.
Okay.
Not anything to boost our like etheric signature too high from firing engines at full bore.
Okay. So, any particular direction you're moving in?
Away
Okay.
from stuff.
Okay.
I don't really want to go towards the island.
Yeah, that's fair. You know that the nearest continent is, at the speed you're moving, would be about a 2-day trip to the south. The oceans to the north, you're kind of near the equator here. And the oceans to the north are pretty wide open until you start hitting some polar regions.
In that case, a southerly direction, but like a little off, just a little off. Not like, oh, we're aiming directly towards the continent.
Okay.
But just,
All right. So yeah, as of right now, unless something gets frisky with you underwater, you're cruising down Periscope, just keeping it below the radar, as it were.
I'm sure we can get one of us to do some whale sounds in case they come a knocking.
Anyone here speak whale?
Are you volunteering, Amari?
No, I've never seen a whale in my life. I just know what they are.
I was
I've seen
just going to
pictures
say, I think
on the archive.
Florian might be the only person who's ever seen a whale before.
But like the whales that you've seen are like fucking
they're
the
so fucking
weirdest,
Yeah.
horrible. It's like an orca mixed with a carnivorous plant.
So there are at least two
With
of the
pincers.
planets on the Akalar system that are vast enough to support huge oceanographic life, and that there is a certain point in the celestial movement in which those large leviathans will leap from planet to planet in their seasonal migration.
Hey, listen.
Yeah.
It's like the mountains
real
kissing.
Cool. It's just like the mountains kissing, but with giant, horrible sea creatures. It's majestic as fuck.
It sounds deadly as fuck, too. What if they miss?
They do sometimes.
Oh, God.
Go off into space.
Giant frozen leviathans will crash into other planets in the Akalar system.
Have you
Space whales.
have you guys ever wondered why none of the other planets are habitable? It's because of the giant space leviathans.
Just crash into other celestial bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
some
breed
places
like
have
crazy.
some places have a monsoon season. The Akalar system has a frozen dead space whale season.
A plague of whales. Hands down.
And then of course the Akalar people just blow up the Leviathan corpses
Mhm.
so that
Yeah.
it doesn't crash into planets. But then it just rains down,
Yeah.
Well, the
That's
what I
meat
meant.
rain of
Have a
Akalar
feast.
is quite, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
feast season. God, I miss home. I'm so homesick.
That's why you
Space
have
sucks.
the large barbecue sauce misters of Akalar so that the meat comes down pre-seasoned.
Barbecue sauce mister. Oh, my God, Mike.
Akalar was Snackalar the whole time.
Yeah.
actually.
Was always Snackalar.
the whale meat got cooked on re-entry.
Yep.
Oh my god.
This is the plot I've been looking for
I
for
know.
the last year we've been playing.
Okay, so Shay, you are with the Golden Comet. Kala is helping you, and you are attempting to break into the ship systems. Not hard, considering you have the security fob. So the ship basically identifies you as Declan Shattersword with that in your pocket. And this is like, I mean, when I say the ship systems, you got to imagine this is not a spaceship he lived on. And like the ship systems aboard the Tyresian are like computers and data systems and everything like that. This is the onboard computer to a electric car or something.
Does the helm steering mechanism for this, is it just an Xbox 360 controller? Knowing this guy.
No, what it
what's his
is
name's
is
the VTuber guy.
yeah, that is. Oh God, I don't know his name anymore. Ricky Forte. Yeah.
Ricky
It's with an
Forte.
R, and that's all I remember.
No, the control mechanism of the Golden Comet is 2 orbs of crystalline and metal that sit kind of at hand level that you rest on, and they're just free floating inside the cockpit, and you control the pitch and yaw and acceleration by basically channeling your own etherics into those orbs. And like gently moving them to control steering. But yeah, so accessing the ship systems, there's not a ton here. There is some security codes for a couple of different locations elsewhere in the galaxy. It seems as though this ship has clearance to like enter his facilities, where whatever those are. The ship doesn't list like, oh, this is an apartment and this is a warehouse. It doesn't list anything like that. It's just coordinates and access codes.
There's one that just says Sticky Dave's.
And right, there's no like porn on here, right?
No, there's nothing as explicit as that. There are definitely a couple of like contact lists of just like, when you say Sticky Dave's, you joke, but like there are a couple in there that are just like, okay, there are locations for people that Declan Shattersword was in at least regular contact with, that like some names that raise some eyebrows of just like One-Handed Joe or Shotgun Steve, things like that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna I'm gonna copy these contacts. I'm going to copy his contacts, and then I am going to blast his cache, so to speak. Factory reset.
Okay, so you want to basically copy his. You got to think like Google Maps. Like, okay, these are the locations he's used to going to and flying to with this craft.
Listen, you never know when you might need a Shotgun Steve.
That's true.
Or One-Handed Joe.
Yeah.
And that is...
He might be fun to party with.
Those 2 names are not a comprehensive list, I should say that.
Right.
There are definitely... there are... Let's see, would there be any names on there that you would recognize?
Ooh, great question.
Yeah, Sticky Dave.
There's at least... There's at least one contact on there that is like a business line to somebody who works at Zolkon Industries. You don't know this person, but they're just like, okay, this is clearly a business contact to this large corporation. Beyond that, you don't recognize any names. They're just like, okay, some of these sound sketchier than others. Other ones are just like single name entries. Some of them are just locations, like
Mom.
I said. Yeah.
Mom 2.
Because,
Mom 4.
you would also have access to the comm data on this ship, and that would be a lot of these contacts. The places he's flown, it seems to be here. A couple of what are called outer kingdoms. They're basically just like singular worlds that govern themselves. You don't recognize any of them off the top of your head. There is at least one time he has gone to Imperia proper, the throne world of the Canis Empire. Strikes you as odd. Because this dude's super sketchy. Why the hell would he go there?
Well, what was the most recent?
Here, Seawell.
No, I mean, like, it has he like call. There's no like call list of like recent contacts.
Yeah, you would have that of like, or the contacts he would have made via this ship's communication. So calls he would make basically while driving.
Okay.
And the last one he would have made would have been to Ragna Favor's End. Specifically, she called him on his way here. Beyond that, there's not a lot else in the ship systems here. So when you do the factory reset, essentially, on this craft, resetting all of its systems, you do so without any real problem.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then I will kind of call out to Mara, be like, all right, have at it.
Oh, excellent. I've never encountered a craft like this before. Be quite interesting. And there is this sparkling energy that, like, whelms out of the gemstones that make up the displays inside the craft, and you see this bright, effervescent blue begin to kind of creep in across the gemstones inside the golden comet.
Mm-hmm.
And you see a little displayed Mara projected up from the console, and she sits on the controls of the ship and is kicking her little feet, bare as they are, her little sundress flowing in a breeze that you cannot feel.
So it's adorable.
It's absolutely adorable. Yeah.
Hey.
And she'll look up and around and, like, look up at you. And again, this image of her, this little projection, isn't her. You know that consciously, but you can't help but go, "Aw, tiny little Mara projected on the console there."
Because she's my daughter and I love her.
And she'll say, "Oh, fascinating. This ship is configured quite differently than the Tyresian."
Yeah, yes. I wouldn't say that this is exactly a standard craft, but people do... There are certain functions that some people prefer over others. The Tyresian is big on sensors and receiving and sending data and communications. This one's more about speed.
And smuggling.
Yeah, and smuggling.
There are several hidden compartments on the lower end of the ship.
Oh, good to know.
Oh, and it seems as though there are several hidden weapons compartments all aboard the nose of the ship as well.
That also makes sense.
The thrust capabilities of this craft are quite astounding. Though if they were activated inside of the Tyresian, the effect would be quite devastating. Especially right now.
It would. It would be so devastating. Even say if we, tried to use the power from this ship to, power the Tyresian. Oof, that would be...
I would not
Anybody
advise that.
would know that. Yeah.
Though, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the goal was to remove the Formian Generator from this ship and attach it to our own, correct?
Yes.
You do not know how Mara knows this.
I assume reading our minds was part of the deal. Is that true? I don't know. In fact, I do think that that's in character that Shay is like, yes, it is. And so, but just like, is like, yeah, we probably told her that. I'm a good parent.
You're doing what I usually do of being like, oh yeah, I told you that, right?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Oh, oops.
But there's definitely a look from Kala, who's kind of down and away. She has the ship systems from the Tyresian kind of wired into the Golden Comet so she can monitor things from a console near your engineering bay in Tux, and she will exchange a look to you when Mara says that.
And Shay just like looking at Kala like with an eyebrow raised, like, what?
And Kala will just shake her head and continue to monitor systems.
Oh, because I also do know that Mara can telepathically communicate with Oswald, right?
Telepathy has nothing to do with it, but you were aware that...
Okay, again, I'm stupid.
You know that Mara can communicate via any kind of powered system. You know that Oswald has a cybernetic implant hardwired into his brain now.
Yeah, it's basically telepathy. Cyber telepathy.
Yeah, cyber telepathy. Let's go with that.
Instant messaging.
I dropped out of school, okay?
Sure.
I'm doing the best I can. So anyway, back to the conversation with Mara. Yes. Do you know where it is in the ship?
The Formian Generator. Is that what you're asking?
Huh?
You're asking after the Formian Generator and its location on this vessel?
Yes. What was that? Yes, I'd rather not have to go digging for it if I know exactly where it is.
The device is located near the rear of the ship, next to the warp core.
Okie dokie. Thank you, darling.
And she will hold out her tiny little projected hand, and a second hologram will project from her hologram of a device. It appears to be an etheric engine of some kind. It is made of these ribbed nodules of different colored crystalline, basically intertubes that are around a coiled metal superstructure at its center. And it appears as though each of those different colored tubes of aethite crystal are meant to... the function of this device is to make it look like your ship is a different power signature than the one it has, so that it appears bigger, essentially. So this would replicate different systems of a much different ship. So like blue aethite would make it look like it has bigger shields, and green aethite would make it look like it has a bigger warp drive, and red aethite would make it look like it has a bigger weapon system of some kind.
Okay, awesome. All right. Yeah, I'm going to start disassembling the ship to get to that Formian generator.
Okay. Kala is less useful in helping where this is concerned. She is not a technical engineer. She is a software engineer.
Yeah.
And a slight reminder that are you having her also remove like any tracking devices and software aboard the Golden Comet? I feel like that was the original intent.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, she is happy to do that. She would ask, do you want me to purge this ship's identity from the metanet?
Out of character, I might argue that we could potentially leave it somewhere as like a red herring, but it's your call. I'm just proposing a different option for shading.
Yeah.
I think
Kala would ask,
be good.
You can do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's also wild, but...
And Marrow would respond, oh yes, it shouldn't be very hard.
That's actually...
It would make it incredibly difficult.
Tyresian?
That would be problematic. Landing and going to and from any populated system would raise a lot of eyebrows if the Tyresian simply did not exist in any functional metanet system.
True. Wow, do we want to erase this gaudy machine from the metanet?
Kala would let you know that like that sort of thing is done by hackers so that they can like basically take the ship apart for parts and sell it without getting into trouble for it.
I mean, we did lose quite a bit of money.
It's essentially like filing the serial numbers off of a thing.
Yeah. And this thing has some pretty good parts on it. Yeah, actually, go ahead and do that.
Excellent. I've never done this sort of thing before. I'm excited to try.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be great.
And she goes about doing that.
Let me know if you run into any trouble. I'll do what I can to help you if you need it.
And then Shay goes about basically taking this thing apart to get at a piece of the engine on the interior of it. Oswald,
Gonna fuck this up.
Yes.
you are attempting to implicate Declan Shattersword in war crimes.
Yes.
Cool.
Cool.
I mean, that's what you're doing.
Is it
Yeah, I
if he's actually done it? Like he's committing.
Yeah,
That's
like
fair.
implicating him, in the letter to the letter of the law, like the definition of the word. Like you're implicated in these crimes.
Fine.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase. Oswald, you're attempting to be a narc about war crimes.
Oh, you are being a narc though.
This is just a loose nuclear warhead sitting in a hotel. This is not like, oh, I found a bag of coke,
Yeah, but do you want to be a narc? That's really
Do you want to be a narc though? Like, wow, are we the mod squad suddenly?
Here's what I have to say. Anytime one of these goes off in the future, I want to know that I could have done something about it. Is all I have. That's my opinion.
No, we're just goofing.
That's fair.
Yes. And actually, everybody was talking out of character. So really, he's justifying it to himself in his head. He's just saying it out loud.
I dibs Oswald, Octavian, Theophilus II being like, you want to be a narc though?
That is 100% their MO for sure.
All right. So you said you were going to try to upload this information to the archive.
Yeah.
As basically some because part of the archive, it functions as like a Wikipedia, but there's also a level of kind of dark web dropping hot goss on powerful people on the archive as well.
Yes.
So you want to try to drop that into the maelstrom of metanet discourse.
Yeah.
And again, before you were never really able to find much on Declan Shattersword, but this would certainly be a hot topic where he is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Who else were you trying to get this information to?
I don't know what other government body Oswald would necessarily trust to give this information to. Do I have maybe a point of contact within either the archive or the metanet who I trust to disseminate it, like this information to?
I mean, again, it depends on where you want it ending up. Are you talking like news organizations? Are you talking government contacts? Are you talking just crackpot conspiracy theorists? Because I feel like Oswald might have at least knowledge of where to go to talk about any of those three categories.
That's true.
Whether or not he knows them on a personal basis is another matter entirely. But
yeah, I suppose that. I suppose news outlets, not like major ones, but like I don't know how discerning he is.
The
about
Oregonian, not the New York Times,
or something like that. Yeah. Yes, I think he would, because as soon as it gets out on the news, then government organizations are going to look into it. So. And I think he's a bit more of a free information kind of person than let me just give it to a government body and that nobody will ever hear this information again. So yeah, I think to some sort of news organization. I don't know, or maybe like a forum or not like a Reddit forum necessarily. I myself in real life am not somebody who is frequenting Reddit or any of these things. So I'm not sure what the equivalent would be necessarily.
There are chat rooms, essentially.
Yeah.
Where there's a free discourse of information on these sorts of things. I guess my question to you is, what is the vibe of community that you're trying to spread this information in? Like, is it people who are talking about like broadly political circles, or like what is the circle of people you're trying to get this information to?
How about this? In order to sort of cover my tracks, obviously I have skills in cryptography, but I will put it into maybe more, not necessarily crackpot, but a little bit more in the weeds, knowing that it will bubble up into a news source. Just as a way to keep us from like the information, information getting out. It's not coming directly from me.
Sure.
If that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah, you have a couple of places where it's like, okay, there are forums online that you can put this information out there, and you know that those particular forums, while a little bit more in the weeds, are being monitored by people of a higher reputation.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You could put, basically what you're saying is this individual, Declan Shattersword, is walking around with a Zealot Trooper set of armor, fully functional, as far as you could tell.
Yes. And I have images,
absolutely,
as well as footage. So it's,
So imagine going on to a subreddit and you see somebody linking an image for a series of images and videos of them wandering to a hotel room, opening up a box, and there's just a cruise missile on a balcony somewhere.
Yeah.
No matter where you put that, that's getting to the front page of Reddit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
This is probably going to go viral somewhere.
People are turning this into a meme and like dubbing your voice.
Something awful is happening.
I don't think Oswald actually ever spoke while like recording images of this.
I would most certainly, if I did speak, I would edit that out, like any of my voice.
That's what I meant. Like that's why people are like dubbing in reactions.
I see. What's this? Is this where the cooler is? No, I don't know. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
That feeling when you go to crack open the safe, to get a cold one, and there's a nuclear missile in there instead.
So there is a sequence of images and videos that are uploaded onto the metanet in certain information broker circles of a first-person perspective of somebody going into a hotel room, going out onto a balcony, and you get a full view of the beach and the concert that was happening down there. So, like, there are identifiable bits of this scene that people can verify in terms of its location and the resort you were at.
Yeah.
And like that dude on TikTok who like finds people's like locations from their TikToks based on like the street signs and shit. Somebody is like, this is Declan Shattersword's room in the Five Flames Hotel.
Well, and it was a clear night. You could clearly see the night sky. So like people can very, very quickly, there's plenty of programs out there to figure out where you are in the galaxy with only a view of the night sky and the constellations.
Yeah.
People are way too good at GeoGuessr.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So which do you do first? That one or the upload to the archive? Which comes first?
Ooh, great question. I mean, I am a archivist. It is my duty, I think, to upload to the archive first. Although before I do, I do make a copy of the information just to make sure I have my own personal backup.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I go to the archive first.
Okay. I need you to roll. Just roll me a d12.
D12. Okay.
Yeah.
3.
Okay. Florian, what are you doing while the ship is underwater? Amari, I'm assuming you're still at the helm, kind of like
Oh yeah.
making sure things go okay.
I'm assuming the sensors are still working.
Mhm.
I'm still keeping track to just like make sure that nobody is on our tail.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think.
All right.
And like rapidly flipping through again, like like law enforcement, and then just like general, local news outlets, and also like if there's any personal comms that I can like pick up
Mhm.
that as well.
Okay. While you're doing that, you hear the sound, the pitter patter of Oswald's little bird dinosaur feet behind you in the hallway. And like glancing over your shoulder, you see Oswald kind of moving oddly down the hallway, and he will stop and glance into the room you are in. And you see his eyes are this dark, dark purple. And they scan over the room you're in for a moment, and then his head will turn and he will keep walking down the hallway.
I'm gonna leave my post for a second just to like make sure he gets like does he keep moving oddly as he like walks down the hallway?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna like I'll go to like touch him on the shoulder and just make sure that he's okay. 'Cause
The
that's
way
weird.
he's moving oddly is usually Oswald is constructed a little bit like a two-legged dinosaur with a long tail kind of sticking out the back for balance. He's walking like he's trying to like stand upright, his chest kind of puffed up and like the tail pointing down, so his balance is weird, and like walking like
he's a different person stuffed into an Oswald suit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gross.
Mm-hmm.
Don't love that.
Yeah, I don't love that, so I'm definitely gonna go follow him and touch my friend on the shoulder and just kind of give him a little like shake. Shake.
And he is moving down the hallway towards the stairs that will lead down into the cargo bay. And when you come up behind him and touch him on the shoulder, Oswald, you suddenly come back to yourself and you don't know how you got into this hallway. The last thing you remember is hitting the send button to upload to the archive. And now you're suddenly in a hallway and Florian's touching your shoulder.
Whoa!
You okay, man?
What happened?
You were just like looking around, but you seemed kind of out of it. You going
That's weird.
space mad? Remember you?
Right. Yes.
Earlier, yeah.
That's weird. The last thing I remember was. Wait, let me check my the information. I was about to send out. Can I check?
Yeah, I mean, you have your glasses. You can immediately connect to the archive because of your implants, and you can see. Apparently, it was approved incredibly quickly. One of the editors immediately approved the information. It is all posted on the archive, just like you intended.
Great. Okay. Excellent. I guess I'll post it in some other forums as well. I guess I must have fallen asleep. I've been drinking a lot of 12 Loco, so
that makes
I'm
sense.
exhausted. I must have fallen asleep. I did. Maybe I should go lay down. But excuse me. And he sort of shuffles off.
I'm not gonna like linger to watch him because I am doing something kind of important, but Florian will remember this. A little notification pops up above my head.
And yeah, okay. The rest of the time spent is productive as you are dismantling the interior guts of the Golden Comet. You can pretty quickly, since you know exactly where it is, get to the Formian Generator. It is exactly as I described it. It is about the size of like a coffee table. It's a big piece of this engine, so lifting it by yourself is tough.
Yeah, I'd probably like. Yeah, there's probably not like some kind of apparatus I can use to haul it out in here.
Depends on how handsy you want to get with Tux, I guess.
Oh, just like Amari's still in the bridge. Get inside my little guy. I'm running a diagnostic test.
Sure. Amari, I would assume on your personal comm device you have some kind of alert whenever Tux is activated.
Yeah. On my
if it has like people's, if you have to like sign in with your etheric signature, which I'm assuming you do, if you connect to Tux, it's probably like Shay has just entered Tux.
And of anybody else, I think Shay would be the only one to actually have like access.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm fine with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are aware of that fact is all I'm saying. And yeah, Tux can function as a forklift.
He's so multi-purpose. I love him.
Good hugger.
So once that's removed, getting it into engineering here on the Tyresian and connecting it properly to your systems is also going to take some time. I don't know if that's an immediate concern of yours.
I mean, I would like to not be on this planet
Sure.
for like a super long time. I'll ask Oswald if he has any of the Four Loko energy that just doesn't have any of the alcohol in it. He doesn't.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Not one. You don't have one of the energy drink version.
I wasn't aware there was an energy drink version.
Yeah, it just doesn't have the alcohol. It has everything else. It's like, I mean, again, right? I don't know how your internal organs have survived this long, but it's the only type that I can even, like, I can only have a shot of it at a time. I'll just brew some space coffee, whatever.
Didn't know. Usually I'm aware of all the different types of 12 Loco. It's strange that I wouldn't be informed that this specific kind was made, but that's fine. I'll just... he says as he's heading back to his room.
You're actually aware of what Shay is talking about. It's the off-brand Dr. Loco that is clearly like inferior to the name brand version.
Its design is like so close to the Four Loko that like it's very common for people to mistake. It's like it should be eligible for like copyright infringement, but like
there's some loophole there. I mean, because it's weird how they were able to make the doctor part look like a 4, but hell, they did it.
12,
well,
but
the
12, yeah.
part is it's literally labeled as a 12 Loco flavored drink.
Yes,
lawyers are still trying to hash it out, so they're able to keep making it. Yeah, I'll just make some shitty instant coffee.
Yeah, the calf water you can prepare on the ship is substandard, but it works.
Yeah.
You want some salt water? There's plenty of it.
Amari, after that point, you're fairly certain you're well clear of Port Izel and any of the emergency response that is happening therein.
Mm-hmm.
Your scans on your long-range communications observation devices aboard the Tyresian would let you know that there's nobody really around you. They've very much successfully locked down the port. And based on the things you're overhearing, Florian, it doesn't sound like they know that y'all specifically left, but they do know that a bunch of people just fled the island when the emergency call was sounded.
Yeah, that's fine.
Not just us. Hooray.
Yeah. And based on your observations of the last, let's say this is taking about an hour and a half, things there got like heavy-handed and martial law-y real quick.
Well, yeah, if they were searching the port, like I'm sure there is. I'm sure a lot of people fled, but I'm sure there's also a lot of illegal activity going on, which I'm sure bogs things down a little bit.
It's a casino. You freaking know there was.
You did hear a report of a Rini individual on a rowboat being arrested.
Oh no!
Who was apparently like illegally rowing out into the wharves, the public wharves, for reasons that are not communicated over the band, but you do hear the arrest happening over the the emergency lines.
I'm sorry, Mike. What kind of boat was it?
A rowboat.
A rowboat.
But what kind of rowboat?
Could
Say the
Could
line.
it possibly have...
Was there a hinge?
Say the line.
A hinge that allows it to,
I mean, we can't know whether or not that boat folded or not. You left before finding out.
That's
We
true.
have to go back. We have to go
We have
back.
to go back. Yeah.
God would want us
Questions
to.
must be answered. Yeah.
Let's just say, if you had taken longer inside the casino, a certain somebody might have tried to rob your ship.
That makes a lot of
That son of a bitch.
There are no surprises here.
I mean, he would have been in for a weird and wacky surprise.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
If that danger gauge had hit level 10, you would have gotten a call from Kala saying someone's trying to break onto the ship.
I mean, good luck between Vesnas and Mira. He would have
Yeah.
a fucking hell of a time actually getting anything.
No, just saying. But yeah,
Isn't
that
this
is
straight up. This is just straight up killed a guy.
so. Amari, that is your situation at the hour and a half mark after leaving Port Izel.
Okay. Yeah, I would over the intercoms just be like, "All right, everyone, looks like we're clear. Going up." And then up we go.
And there is this somewhat strange sensation that you all have as the ship like goes up out of the water. I don't think any of you have ever been in a submarine before that then turned into a spaceship. So this pressure differential that hits you as you start climbing rapidly up out of the ocean.
Well, I mean, I have personally, but I don't think Amari had.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Tyresian lifts up and out of the ocean, flies up into the atmosphere of Seawell, and ascends into space.
Space.
What are you doing? Where are you going? You are out of the planet. The mission is successful. You have absconded with a Formian generator and a bonus spaceship besides.
I was feeling like playing some crap, so I was going to hit the casino.
Oh, head on back to the
Yeah.
casino.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they won't expect that shit. Mm-mm.
It's true.
Except criminals always return to the scene of the crime. That
We didn't
is
commit a crime.
Always their mistake.
If we could just deny that we committed a crime, we're not returning to a crime because we saw it as an act of kindness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can make up another story,
Yeah, the hegemony did this.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, as soon as y'all get into space and the Tyresian comes into contact with the local system comm buoy, some messages start appearing on the Tyresian. Specifically, Amari, your inbox pings a couple of times.
Okay.
Oswald, you also get a message.
Oh, no.
It appears to be from a law firm
Oh, no.
expressing some legal matters that need to be attended to if you are going to be re-alivened in the eyes of Vanakel Law. Apparently somebody has reached out on your behalf to reestablish your identity in the eyes of Vanakel Law as Oswald Octavian Theophilus III.
Doesn't sound like any of my siblings.
And somebody has retained the services of the House of Contracts, which you know is one of the most prestigious law firms in the galaxy, and it is an ogre law firm based out of their homeworld of Gobwar.
Cool.
So apparently somebody has hired a lawyer from the House of Contracts to help reestablish your being alive.
Excellent. Wow.
Everything's coming up, Oswald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, you don't know who would have tried to activate that sort of thing, but
Yes, seems weird, but I'll look into it.
yeah, apparently they have some kind of injunction against another individual claiming to be Oswald Octavian Theophilus III, and they are currently disputing that in court on your behalf.
Great. Excellent. Wonder what happened to him.
Apparently he was eventually cut out of that room he was sealed in.
I hope it took a long time.
Florian, you also get some messages. There are a couple from your, let's see, it would be from Andoni. And it would be a lot of, like...
Marcus spam.
Yeah. It is some rabbit hole conspiracy, like, nonsense.
I just send back I go and find the Reddit link that has now started to, like, bubble up and become viral of finding the suit of armor, and I just send that back with no other text to all of the conspiracy theory emails.
So you do not respond and even read any of the important educational links that your younger stepbrother is trying to share with you.
No.
But he's really got a podcast that you should listen to, to broaden your horizons.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Amari, you have 2 incoming messages.
Oh, okay. This will be good.
One is from your wife, and one is from marked as a government missive from somebody named Matriarch Tali Hania.
Okay. Do that. Let's do that one first.
Okay.
That one seems a less emotionally abrasive.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It appears to be an official government missive from one of the Rosset Hegemony's matriarchs. You know that there is, like, a council of matriarchs that runs the hegemony. And
it's going to be her, like, hey, didn't
You're
know
invited.
that there were other hegemony agents working at this casino. Interesting.
You're invited to a meet and greet to figure out what the fuck were you doing.
yes, you are being asked to report back to a hegemony outpost, not back at Vastplane, but in a nearby system that is, like, you need to come in for a debrief.
Okay.
ASAP.
Marcus spam.
Florian's in here marking my own messages as spam. No wonder I haven't gotten anything. Fuck. This message is 3 weeks old.
The message from Layla is less formal. and she is basically saying, I am hearing a lot of stuff about you coming out of Seawell. What the hell happened?
Okay. In that case,
Your coincidence.
yeah, this is my brother,
New phone, who dis?
Greg. I'll respond to both, but the first one, just a quick when and where.
The first one is asking you to report in, I mean, again, as soon as possible. There's no like set date necessarily, but it's basically telling you go from wherever you are right now to us.
Okay.
And it is on a planet called Nearend.
Okay. How far away is that?
It would be like 2 jumps using the Tyresian. Not very far.
Okay.
It is a hegemony outpost.
I'll respond with, I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
Because I don't want to give a specific timeline, sort of trap or whatever, and I don't want to make a decision for the entire group.
Sure.
So, yeah,
Good, though.
yeah,
It's only slightly more respectful than New Phone Who Dis.
yeah.
All right.
And then the second one from Layla. I feel like a phone call would solve a lot of problems, but this is not a good time.
No? Okay.
I mean, it is, but it isn't. It would solve a lot of issues. Maybe not solve a lot of issues. But how far away from Vast Plain is this other planet?
How far away from Vast Plain is this other planet? Currently, you are in the Southern Reach.
Mm-hmm.
You are kind of in the mid-rim. You're not super far away from the ogre homeworld of Gobwar. So Vast Plain is about a, like, 5th or 6th of the full rotation of the galaxy away from you. It would be a bit of a trip.
Okay. And did we have any other location we were meaning to meet, like the Archproctor on or anything, or we were just waiting for info from Mr. Zinn?
You were basically waiting to make contact with Mr. Zinn until you knew you could get to the Archproctor without being tracked, which is the whole reason you came to get this Formian Generator to begin with.
Okay. I'm gonna say, if Layla wants to bring the kids to whatever this planet is, that would solve a lot of things.
The planet with the Archproctor?
No.
Oh,
The meetup planet.
Oh, the meetup planet.
with the hegemony
Yes.
representative.
Have her bring the kids.
Yeah, but then that.
We all want to meet your 1 million children.
Well, we're gonna need an entire drop ship for like the 8-year-olds. Then like
It's a
You
heavy
thought the
cruiser that is.
Pose was a big ship.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we need an Imperial supercarrier for this family tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will send a message back to Layla. Things are getting complicated. Meeting with what did you say the name of the representative was?
Tali Hania.
Tali Hania.
So
okay.
Matriarch Hania would be her title.
Okay. All right. Meeting with Matriarch Hania on again, what was the planet's name?
Nearend.
Nearend. How do you speak to a significant other you haven't talked to in a very long time?
Huh.
I have no idea how to end this, Mike. This is hard.
It just says, meeting with Matriarch Hania at Nearend for debrief.
For
Space, nothing further. Like a military, end of report.
Oof.
Smooth.
Please.
Meeting with Hania. Stop. Please also come by. Stop.
Yeah. Would be super cool if you swung by. No.
Your husband, Amari.
It would mean a lot if you were there, Amari. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so this message goes off and syncs up with a comm buoy somewhere and then is shot off to Vast Plane. She will get it in her own time.
Eventually.
Once you are clear of the planet, and you start getting these messages, and you're just out in space at this point. You've broken orbit, you're away from the planet, and you're moving towards the kind of any place that's safe to warp, which is basically anywhere else in the system.
I'm gonna go see if Shay needs any help, because I think our number one priority now is not being able to be tracked, or not being trackable.
Yeah, because that is a big thing you would know is once you arrive at a waypoint somewhere else, that's when your ship pings and people with a lot of time and resources and energy would be able to track down where you go.
Yeah.
I don't know, Aegis Tech Solutions.
Yes.
So if I can cut down any of that time so that we can warp, or we can start warping away from here, and also shoot a message to Zan.
Okay. Yeah, installing the Formian Generator is difficult, let's say. Your ship isn't designed to... It's like you're jamming some big piece of technology into something that wasn't designed to house it. So it's basically having a generator just kind of sitting on the floor of engineering wired into the ship systems.
Yeah, we're going to have to stop somewhere and get a shelving unit or something for this thing.
Zip ties.
Yeah. And you know that having some kind of cooling housing for this thing would probably also be good.
We need to get a full gamer rig for this thing.
It's not like it's going to burn a hole through the floor when you use it, but it's definitely suboptimal the way you're doing it right now, when it's just cords and wiring attached from your drive core and warp core into this thing that's just sitting on the floor.
Yeah. I'm gonna start getting quotes on various things that we need for this.
Well, we have a bunch of parts to sell, so
This is true.
And I guess it comes down to what is Oracle Zero's next stop, because depending on where you go could radically change how you approach modifying and reconfiguring the Tyresian / selling a stolen ship.
Yeah.
That, as of Mara's intervention, now isn't a stolen ship. It's just a ship you happen to own and have in your possession.
Yeah.
The best kind. Victimless crime.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Nobody was harmed.
I feel like if you steal something from an arms dealer, it is a victimless crime.
Yeah.
I'm going to pose that moral question and say asked and answered.
That's fair.
And also, he was clearly going to be in trouble with Ragna for having this nuclear weapon. So, she might have just taken the ship away anyway to punish him. So it's we just did her job for her.
Exactly.
What's worse, she was unaware of it, and there was just this loose zealot armor in the wild, or she was aware of it and she allowed it to be there. I don't know what's the worst
Yeah.
option.
I think the second one is worse. I was terrified she knew about it, like when I was planning on bringing it up. So yeah, I'm actually glad she didn't.
Oh, you
To my
dodged that conversation entirely.
Well, yeah, that's true.
You don't know if the real Ragna actually knew about it or not.
That's true. True.
We could call her. We could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty sure. Yeah, we have her contact information from the ship, right?
Yeah.
Ragna, would you be interested in purchasing a ship? Here's the description.
As you are flying through space and like figuring out this composition, Oswald, you have gone to lay down, essentially.
Yeah.
As you're kind of unsure, what is going through Oswald's head right now as you were confronted with this gap in time?
I mean, if the last thing I remember is submitting something to the archive, then I would have to assume there's a connection between that and this gap in my memory. I don't necessarily suspect the archive of doing anything untoward, but it is a question that perhaps needs to be looked into. So he starts thinking about how he wants to go ahead and approach this. Maybe he's going to start looking into doing a little digging on the archive outside of the archive's own information banks.
Okay. As you're beginning to consider this, you are struck by the fact that the information, like there's this weird gap in your memory.
Yeah.
And it's not even a gap in the memory necessarily. It's just you went from one instant to the next, and there is this blink and you'll miss it moment where like you hit a button or you hit submit on this like virtual AR display that your glasses can bring up in front of you. And then you were in the hallway and Florian was touching your shoulder, and there's this in between, this jump cut in your memory, essentially. It's not like you blacked out. It's just from one to the next.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about it, and you're recalling some times on the Storm's Repose with similar little jumps. And it's really easy, like you said to Florian to cover, to write those off as 12 Loco. Because, of course, it would be very easy to lose time to that drink. But now you're like starting to consider it and think back on it. It's like, are those blank spots you depression drinking? Or are they something more sinister? Which is saying something.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely beats on the Storm's Repose where, okay, you submitted something to the archive, and then you would find yourself at the Blue Giant, consoling yourself in a drink for whatever reason. And there are intervening moments that, like, is it the drink the reason you can't remember those intervening moments? You're beginning to second guess those beats that have been happening for months now.
Is there a mirror in my room?
Sure, if you want there to be.
Can I take a look at it and really like look at myself and look at these implants that I have?
And they're just two little like crystalline nodes on either side of your head. They kind of like magnetize snap when you place the glasses on, and that's what activates and like creates the AR display and the MetaNet uplink. They're very unobtrusive. You would barely even know they were there if not for the fact that they're just this little numb spot on the side of your head.
Mira.
And you hear a voice, not projected out loud, but in your head. Yes, Oswald.
I have a question.
I love questions.
I know you do. It's one of the many things I love about you, but, not too long ago, I seem to have lost track of time. I found myself out in the ship's hallway.
I know, I saw.
Yes. You did see it. Was anything out of the ordinary about me? Anything strange?
Your motor function seemed slightly inhibited, but I assume that was because of the other user's access to your backdoor protocols. Like the one I'm using right now.
The other user's access?
Yes.
Who would that be?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
They didn't leave a digital fingerprint?
Not that I can detect.
Oh, dear.
Though, to be fair, this backdoor protocol into your cerebral cortex is quite thorough. I don't understand why everyone in the crew does not have one of these. It would make it communicating with them much easier.
Starting to understand why maybe other people don't have that.
Oh? And what would that be?
Well, it gives people the opportunity to make their way in. Obviously, you are welcome here. But
excellent.
I don't trust other people as much as you or the ship, the crew on this ship.
Fascinating.
Do you think maybe there would be a way that you could we could figure out perhaps a way to keep people out?
Perhaps. It would require building security protocols into... That would be difficult. There are certain synapses that I have access to that I might be able to rewire, but I am unused to this sort of hardware.
As in me.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah, we'll steer clear of that. Perhaps for now, would it be possible for you to figure out who was it? Or at least to find a direction I could look?
I could try.
Maybe hold off on that for now. It might not be safe for you. I'll consider it.
I'm here to help whenever I can.
Yes, I know. Thank you.
You sound concerned.
Yes, I think I may have made a terrible mistake.
I've heard this tone before. It is... And she goes quiet.
And I think Oswald just kind of stares off, sort of lost in thought. He sort of absent-mindedly reaches over and he grabs a can of 12 Loco and he opens it, just starts drinking. He just keeps sitting there until he finishes.
Okay. As you sit there considering the new nightmarish potential of a backdoor into your mind, as the digital entity known as Mera is silent and contemplating her own experiences aboard the Tyresian, as industrious individuals try to modify the ship, as certain pilots contemplate exactly how much loyalty do they have to their home and their family and everything they used to support and work for. We pull away from the Tyresian as it floats gently in space, moving towards some unknown destination. Somewhere out there, there is a dark corner. A world bereft of life, but for a single soul that moves in a strange floating gait, dragged across the air as though a puppet held aloft by strings that support its limbs. Some unseen hand moving limbs in a gliding fashion as they reach up and gently touch a console. Fingers that look more like claws as the flesh and muscle has withered into bone-like appendages, nearly mummified in appearance. We'll tap a few holographic keys, and the hand will drift back down. On a holographic display above those keys, there is an image displayed. A first-person perspective of a low-set pair of eyes moving through a hallway of a ship, glancing into a room to see a Taro man turn and give a quizzical eyebrow back towards this point of view, and then the point of view will turn and move back down the hallway. The hand will drift back up and touch the button again, and the view will rewind, seemingly moving backwards through the ship. You'll see the Taro man turn back to look at the console, the eyes drifting back along the hallway. They will glance briefly into a room where an individual Alian man sits at a helm of a bridge, staring in concentration at flying a ship underwater that he's not sure it should even be possible to do that. The view will rewind further backwards until eventually they will be inside of a littered, cluttered space of a room. That point of view will stare down at a augmented reality display displayed before them, showing a brief view of information on a name, several names. Oswald, Octavian, Theophilus. There are several listings. There is one near the bottom of that list that lists them as an employee of Vorpal Corp, a middle manager of some kind. There's one that is listed as presumed dead. There is one that is listed as a vidpop star. And there is one that is listed simply as formerly known as Oswald Octavian Theophilus I. And that name is highlighted, and a brief blurb, as is the summary on the archive, a quick sentence near the top of that page to indicate exactly, like, what's this individual's deal? And the name that is listed there is no longer Oswald Octavian Theophilus I. They apparently changed their name for professional purposes. And this individual, known as Ozymandias, was one of the key negotiators for the peace between what's left of the Dominion and the Canis Empire at the end of the Shattering. And that view on the holographic screen will just settle on that. And a whispered voice will say, "Fascinating." And I think it is there that we will have to end this session and figure out what happens next time. Because as always, you can find us online at MatcomRPG on Twitter and Instagram. You can also email us at materialcomponentsrpg@gmail.com. We always love hearing from all of our listeners.
You can find me on Twitter at CryOutOlivia. I am always there talking about D&D and other RPGs and also just a lot of other nerd stuff. So come hang out.
You can find me on Twitter at Elliot C. Lewis.
I'm an illustrator and graphic designer, doing a lot of tabletop RPG and other fan art. You can also support me on Patreon and Ko-fi. Links to both of those are in my Twitter profile.
You can find me at The Readamus on Instagram and Twitter, where I post jokes and lots of photos of nature, so come check it out.
And you cannot find me on social media, but what you can do is support our show by rating and reviewing it on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Please, please, please do so.
Indeed, and finally, you can find me personally on Twitter and Instagram at MKGorgoni, where I'm always happy to talk about all things material components. But as always, the world is chaos, so please, be kind to each other. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.